You know the feeling, right? You pull out your phone, open up your investment app, and just watch. You watch the numbers flicker up and down, and you feel this little knot in your stomach. It feels like you're doing something important, staying on top of things. But what if I told you that habit, that so-called comfort of chaos, is actually costing you? Well, today we're going to dig into the psychology behind why we just can't stop checking the market.
So, be honest. Does a screen like this give you a little bit of anxiety? That constant river of red and green, the chart that just seems to be alive. It's a very specific kind of stress, isn't it? And now that the entire market lives in our pockets, that feeling has become an everyday thing for millions of us.
The author Nassim Taleb tells this perfect story about it. It's about a retired dentist who decides, hey, I'm going to be a day trader. He sets up this whole trading station in his attic, ready to make a killing. But what he finds is that he feels a pang with every loss. The little wins felt okay, sure, but the sting of a loss, even a tiny one, was just gut-wrenching.
And that story really gets to the heart of our first big idea, this daily checking compulsion we all seem to have. And let's be real, this isn't some rare thing. It's a huge, widespread behavior, and it's been supercharged by the very apps on our phones that are constantly buzzing, just begging for our attention.
Believe it or not, there's actually a name for this feeling. It's called portfolio performance anxiety. It's that stress you get from watching those wild short-term swings. And our investment apps, well, with their endless updates and notifications, they've basically put this anxiety on speed dial for every single one of us.
So why? Why does it feel so awful? Why does a tiny dip in your portfolio feel like some kind of personal failure? Well, the answer isn't really about money. It's about psychology. It's deep inside our own brains.
It all boils down to this really powerful idea called loss aversion. What scientists have found is that the pain you feel from losing something is about twice as powerful as the pleasure you feel from gaining the exact same thing. So losing $100 hurts more than twice as much as finding $100 feels good. It's just wired into us. And here's the wild part. This isn't some flaw in your thinking. It's actually a feature left over from our evolution. The Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman put it perfectly. Basically, our ancestors who paid more attention to the tiger in the bushes than the berries on the tree, well, they're the ones who survived. Our brains are hardwired to treat threats as urgent. And in today's world, a falling stock price gets flagged by our caveman brain as a threat.
Now check out the brutal math on this. If you check your portfolio every single day, you've got about a 50% chance of seeing that it's down. It's literally a coin toss. That means half the time you look, you are intentionally triggering that ancient, painful tiger in the bushes part of your brain.
Which brings us to a really, really important question. What are we even reacting to? The truth is, most of those daily ups and downs that we get so worked up about are, well, they're meaningless. We're confusing noise for a real signal. Think about it like this. The noise is all the short-term, random, emotional chatter of the market. It's fear, it's greed, it's totally unpredictable. The signal, though, that's the real, long-term, fundamental growth of the companies you actually own. When you check your portfolio every day, you're just blasting your ears with static, and you can't hear the music at all. And this isn't just a metaphor. Nassim Taleb actually ran the numbers. Look at this. Over a single second, the market is almost 1,800 parts noise to just 1 part signal. Even over a whole month, it's still more than 2 parts noise for every 1 part signal. You are literally just watching static. As the legendary investor Barton Biggs said, when you're staring at these tiny little time frames, you're not actually watching your returns. You're just observing randomness. You're being fooled by randomness. Our emotions just aren't built to tell the difference.
Okay, so we know why we check, and we know that what we're looking at is mostly just noise. But what's the real cost? Does acting on these feelings actually hurt our wallets? Oh yeah, this is where the real damage happens.
And that brings us to this huge concept called the behavior gap. It's pretty simple. It's the difference between how much an investment makes and how much the average investor in that investment actually gets. So why is there a gap? Well, it's us. Our own behavior gets in the way. The firm Dalbar has studied this for decades, and this chart just lays it all out. The average investor consistently, and I mean consistently, makes less than the market itself. And why? Because we react to the noise.
We panic and sell low when we're scared, and we get greedy and buy high when we're excited. We do the exact opposite of what we're supposed to do.
Now, in some really extreme cases, this compulsion can spiral into something much, much darker. Researchers have even identified a condition called pathological trading. It's a genuine addiction, and it can completely ruin a person's life. It's a pretty sobering reminder of just how serious this can get.
Okay, so how do we stop the madness? How do we break this destructive cycle of checking and stressing and then reacting? The good news is the solution is actually pretty simple. It just takes a little bit of discipline.
Let's start with that old saying, a watched kettle never boils. It's perfect for this. When you constantly watch your investments, you make the growth feel agonizingly slow. It just feeds impatience, and impatience leads to really bad decisions. So here's your new game plan. It's 3 simple steps. First, set a schedule. Seriously, for most of us, checking in just once a quarter is plenty. Second, when you do check, don't look at the daily drama. Look at your long-term goals. And third, use that time to rebalance your portfolio, not to have a knee-jerk reaction to the latest news headline. And hey, don't just take it from me. This is how the absolute best in the world do it. Warren Buffett famously doesn't even have a stock ticker on his desk. The investor Guy Spier makes a point of looking at his stocks one by one so he doesn't get swept up in the emotion. And Terry Smith's advice is maybe the best. Just switch off the screen. So we'll leave you with this final thought from Warren Buffett. He once said that investing would be a lot more intelligent if stock prices were only quoted about once a year. Now, that's a pretty radical idea, but it gets right to the heart of this whole thing. The less we let ourselves get fooled by all that randomness, the better our results will be. The real goal isn't to find comfort in chaos. It's to find prosperity in patience. So the next time you get that urge to check, just ask yourself, am I listening to the noise or am I focused on the signal? Thanks for tuning in.